present list enter to Moody. It's correct. Okay. Floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. During this few days, I've been here with you, social scientists from various countries, discussing three big topics: politics, economic, and social studies. I feel honored to speak about the Islamic politics in Indonesia. Frequently open conferences discuss based on social scientists. Political Islam in Indonesia is often misunderstood by associating it with the strict application of Islamic law and even being linked with efforts to establish the so-called Islamic State. Indonesian history noted that some communities in Indonesia were desirous that the state put on the law of Islam. In this case, Islam was formalized and served as a source for the law of the state. Moreover, they are also members of the public who want an Islamic state, in which Islam is not only used as a source of laws, but also the state is expected to be formally Islamic. The desires actually are reasonable and understandable, considering that Islam had taken root in society. In addition, Islam is the religion of the majority, accounting for about 90% of the entire population of Indonesia. Nevertheless, political Islam is not dominant because it is the secular thoughts that dominate and direct the state of Indonesia. The effort to formalize Islamic Sharia through a political decision was never accepted by politicians, although they are Muslim. So the desire to establish an Islamic state is even just a dream of a small fraction of Indonesian Muslims. In the history of the Indonesian people, who once stood Islamic empire, and even introduction of Islam to the community is initiated by the President of the Islamic Kingdom. Although culturally Islam is rooted in society, its political strength is missing or removed in the historical process that gave birth to Indonesia. The President of Dutch for 350 years as colonial ruler in the region called Indonesia has contributed to the weakness of political Islam later, when Indonesia is independent from colonial rule. The President of the secular education system contributed to the creation of secular indigenous elites competing those of Islam in establishing Indonesian state. The awakening of the people of Indonesia in the 20th century, therefore, was the result of the collective consciousness of its various elements. During the period of this resurgence, competition between the elite of Islam and those who tend to be secular was inevitable. Even with modern education they have obtained, the elite seemed to be more dominant than those of Islamic oriented. The secular elite were those succeeding education in the Netherlands, while Islamic elite were those graduates of Islamic school traditionally devoted to learning Islam. The Islamic elite at the end of Dutch colonial period remains more suspected because during that time they often put up a fight in which Islam has been used as a symbol. It must be recognized that Islamic elites were eager to make Islam as the foundation of the state. At least that is what they could do on the eve of Indonesia's independence. But the majority of the secular elite in the leadership of the youth movement, who became the founding father of Indonesia, has been the desire of most people. Of the 9 members of the committee that's convened to formulate the basis of the state of Indonesia, only 1 person affiliated with non-Islam. But of the 8 people who were Muslim, only 4 who really wanted to make Islam the basis of the state. The failure of these people in making Islam as best of the state seemed to be based on their tolerance toward the non-Muslim, so that the Committee 9 then decided to make Pancasila as the basis for the state of Indonesia instead of Islam. The decision to choose Pancasila as the foundation of this country is a momentum that determined the position of Islam in the political life of the state of Indonesia. Although the Islamic politicians are trying to fight for Muslim interests, political support for them was agreed. From the result of the election considered the most democratic in 1955, the major Islamic party has just obtained 43% vote share. In this case, only the vote Muslims supported for Islamic party, while the majority of Indonesian Muslim Islamist votes where the tendency to practice Islam is very minimal, especially in support of political Islam. When political reform
It's
conducted
okay for everyone?
Yeah. In 1998, Islamic Party has had great support in the election held a year later. The transition from authoritarian to democratic rule has brought a new spirit among the Muslims to fight through politics. In the 1999 election, Islamic Party emerged and gained support quite large because the new order government party, Golkar, has dropped its prestige, and even many politicians proposes to be dissolved. The decline in acquisition of Golkar as the party of the ruling secular authoritarian was resulted from the return of Muslim forces to vote for the party in previous election, who are now voting for Islamic Party. That is why the election seems to bring back the ideological competition that characterized Indonesian politics in 1950s in the period of liberal democracy. But apparently, that spirit lasted only briefly and only to accompany the democratic euphoria that characterized the Indonesian people scene. In the next election, the votes obtained by Islamic parties dropped significantly. The employment of the party from the 30% dropped continuously from 13% in 1990 election to 4.9% in the election of 2009. Indeed, there are many factors that cause it. The first factor is the passion of Islamic policies that is not developed by Muslim elite. For example, the Islamic parties have been turned into open parties that mean no longer Islamic. Currently, only one party that explicitly claims to be the party of Islam, namely the ICPESS. The party that is supported by Islamic, namely the Just and Prosperous Party, has turned ideologically into an open party. With these changes, some exponents of this party come from other religion. In this case, the party are the same as any other secular party. Secondly, the party were established with different ideologies. There are some with Sunni tendency, but some other are leading to Wahhabism. Differences in understanding the religion are clearly carried over into the political Islam, which they oppose. The differences in understanding of the religion have led to the emergence of conflict in society. Movements, propaganda carried out by certain Islamic groups has been responded by other groups, because certain groups feel the most correct in understanding and implementing Islam, then to blame other groups became commonplace behavior. Later came the Shiite group that led to the conflict increasingly widespread among Muslims in Indonesia. Political Islam champions over the years, especially by Islamic parties, culturally limited to the Islamic Sharia formalization effort. In this case, the Sharia would like to serve as source of law, and its implementation have the political strength. So far, it never appeared formal political effort that exceeded. But lately, with the advent of organization with transnational character, the voice that wish to establish the Islamic State has also been sounded loud. Hizb ut-Tahrir Indonesia even want to establish the Islamic Caliphate, as heard in their propaganda. It is just sometimes a bit odd that their effort were not accompanied or through the political terrain, as Hizb ut-Tahrir doesn't believe or even it rejects democracy. They didn't participate in the election and didn't want to establish a political party. So that's, I think, I try to condense the paper into its brief description of the whole I wrote in my paper.
Thanks, Dr. Turmidi. He gave you more information about how the Islamic politics is developing in Indonesia and why it's decreasing.
Sure.
Okay. Is there any question? We can get to one question. Is there any question? I mean, I thanks for the presentation. I think this is important. I just want to make the short comment. Like the Islamic movement on all the Islamic countries, mostly they focus on the Sharia case, and you mentioned. And in Turkish case, if you look at here, like right now we have this Justice and Development Party, Erdogan's party in Turkey, and it's really successful, the party, Islamic party. They mainly focus on like healthcare, unemployment, education. They are building the bridge, road. They solve the traffic problem. So this is how you can get the vote from the people. I mean, if you just talk about the Sharia, or the Salat, Hajj, I mean, it's not enough to get the vote. I mean, you have to focus the other area also. And the Dr. Turmi, the focus on this subject is. Okay, our second paper is Dr. Yasin, okay, and his paper is Political Economy of the Islamic Party in a Muslim Democracy, the experience of PKS of Indonesia.
PKS is another type of
it's Islamic Party. Okay.
Type.
Okay. Islamic Party. Okay, you give me information.
So there's no standard sitting.
It's fine. Commander. Remote control.
It's okay. I can still.
Which one you prefer? Well, let's start like this.
Okay, so this is the title of my paper, Political Economy of the Islamic Party in Muslim Democracy, the experience of ICPESS of Indonesia, because it's a entity type of Islamic Party in Indonesia. So this is the outline. This is the outline of my speech now. So just a brief introduction. So during this Suharto regime, the political Islam was repressed. And even like the biggest, used to be the biggest Islamic party in Indonesia, Osman Shumi, was banned. And then this one, PPP, is a Muslim representative, which is curtailed and never getting bigger because of the political gain. And then this is, but the Suharto regime, even though they're suppressive toward Islamist, toward political Islam, the regime still encourages the religious improvement of the citizen. So they allowed to do the ta'lim, like tadarrus and everything. So they form like a study group. They call themselves Jamaah Tarbiyah. Mostly in the university, in big cities, Jakarta, Surabaya, and so forth. So and when the Suharto stepped down, they formed the party on the 28th July 1998, is Partai Keadilan, Justice Party. So it's like a Kaaba, and this is the logo. And then they joined the election, the first election. As a newcomer, they only get 1.4, which is below the threshold. And this is the first president, Roman Ismail, was elected as the Minister of Agriculture and Forestry. It's a good success for a new party. And as they're doing da'wah actually, da'wah, and this is their principle, Nahnu du'at qibla kulli shay', we are, before everything else, we are a da'i, we are a preacher. So they bring da'wah to politics. So this is every time they go, they're doing da'wah. The personal level, individual, shakhsiyah, usra, mujtama, and dawla, is the level of the state. They do the da'wah in every level of the society. So because PK, the first party did not go above the threshold limit, so they changed the name into the PKS. See, only they changed only the logo with the paddy, and there's a Sejahtera. Sejahtera means prosperous. And then joined the election in 2004. And this is their performance. So in the fourth consecutive general election, in the first time they are failure of Islamism. I call it failure of Islamism because they only have 1.4. And then in the second election, as you can see, the party gained 7.3. So it's like 4 times bigger. And then maybe 6 times bigger than the previous one. So we call it phenomenon of PKS. And then PKS became an open party because they want to widen their electorate. And then in the last year, we call it year of turbulence because there's so many political autonomy within the party. We will go there soon. This is the shape of the party. So as you can see, the red is yellow is a Pika, and the KS is then going up only, and the recent election then goes down. So this is the general election. What they can the shift of power. The president of PKS become a chairperson of the MPR, like Council of the Assembly from 2004-2009, and this is at 2009. This is the president of the party. He made a target to have 20%, but failed. So this is the new strategy because they want to become a new open party. So some of the core member did not agree. This is what they can get in the second election. They become the 4th biggest party in Indonesia, the biggest Islamist party in Indonesia. So this is your turbulence because see there's bullying in the media. Partai Kandang Sapi, it means partai, the party of the cow stall, because the president of the party was alleged in committing corruption. So it very tarnished their reputation as a clean party. So as you can see, PKS here going down. So the focus of the study now is to explore the political rise and mobilization of the party following the democratic transition in Indonesia. Because as a newcomer, the party PKS, they don't have the access to state resource. They don't have a prominent religious base. They don't have maximum capital, resource, and infrastructure. They're really new persons, new people in the block. And also, this is the purpose of the study also to see like the building strategy, community building strategy of the PKS. So how is the mobilization of the PKS? Initial membership, they have a well-educated Muslim youth as a member, initial member, and mostly are activists. And the primary constituents used to be urban lower middle class because they reside mostly in the city, big cities. And it belongs to the membership. The membership, the core membership is 60,000 in 1999, and then it's grown very, very fast, up to 1 million cadre. And the constituents themselves, it reached almost 9 million. The constituent, 9 million. But the member, roughly 1 million. This is, I call it PKS mobilization success because they have 3 ministers in the last administrative government, and this is also like 4 governors, not to mention like vice governor and or major, and even like in small district a lot. Yeah, this one is successful, like 70 of the non-cadre candidate one. This is how they can like mobilize and how they make like coherence. This is what they have share the value they share. So like they are soldiers, they consider themselves a soldier of da'wah, and they do the obedience and the togetherness of jama'ah. So this one. So all the activity is not for worldly benefit, but it's for the sake of good pleasure. Yeah, probably theoretically, and then do the spirit of obedience. So they obey to the leadership, and then jama'ah, I mean they have to preserve who are there togetherness, brotherhood. So this will affect and how they maintain all this value is through the halakha, which is a regular meeting weekly, and this is how the effect of halakha is prevent an individual from creating alternative ideology and faction within the party, and so forth. And they can manage their cohesiveness of the party. So yes, there is a conflict, but conflict is not like very fundamental. They only a strategic and tactical issue. So they already agree on one fundamental issue, only choosing the best vehicle after agreeing to go to some places. Yeah. So all the internal dispute will be managed. So one of the most solid party in Indonesia is PKS. They don't have a schism or internal dispute. Just it's not like any other party in Indonesia. Okay, now the main topic is how politics of the service of the PKS. Yeah, for PKS, religious idea is not important. You're right. But we have to do the service to the community. Therefore, they can garner more popular support within the urban class. And through a pragmatic program, community building. This is why they do the political service, because it can be like become an alternative strategy to attract greater masses, help constructing community base, and then to reinforce their image as a committed Muslim. This is how the welfare profession was framed within the party. So for the cadre, this service profession is like a religious duty for them. But for the party, it become in return their religious image also enhanced. Okay. Yes. After the becoming open party, PKS become like a little bit secular because they are like don't playing the attitude to the Sharia. They are no longer like insist in Sharia, but with this service to the public, their religious image is still enhanced. Oh, by giving the service, they still maintain their sincerity. So even though they like lost in the recent election, I mean, get down, they still do the service. No matter what happen, we keep delivering service. Apapun yang terjadi, kami tetap melayani. That's their fact. Okay, this is the sensory factors. Yeah, well, politics is noble. The is noble. Politics is murky and. Okay, how they do the service? They are one of them is building party messaging through welfare service. They believe that if the party work hard for the people, they will give vote for them. But politics sometimes does not follow the logic. So PKS continue giving the service. Whether or not the people will vote for them at the ballot is not a primary concern. Why welfare provision? Because why they use it? Because money politics are very rampant in Indonesia. So PKS cannot compete with that. So what they can do is they give their time, their energy to the society. And also the second one is the lack of government is not able to deliver the health, the education for the population at large. So this is like this is the opportunity for the party to involve in community building. This is like the unit that they have in the party. We call it KESRA, People's Welfare. So they provide health, economy, culture, and also for student training. This is the also the unit in the party. This is also the unit in the women's wing. Focus on family-friendly services, targeted housewife, mothers, and children. They also do donation of books, schools material, and everything. Okay, this is like one of the pictures of what the women's unit do with the society. Give training to the housewife. So growing herbs, sewing, baking cake, catering, handcrafting, and so forth. You name it. So up until 2002, they already had like 45,000 households nationwide. And this is the second one, how they do the service. They do the coalition with the NGOs because the party cannot have charity foundation, so they have to cooperate with the NGOs. Okay, for instance, school. This is Jaringan Sekolah Islam network, school network. So all over Indonesia, they have schools. It's a religious education movement. Introduced like a comprehensive approach for education. It started only 4 schools, and then now they have like thousands. Apart from giving training to teachers and the staff, they also have cooperation with international school and education. This is zakat charity, Muslim charity. This is what the Rumah Zakat to a house of zakat to, charity based. This is the program. I mean, education, economy, healthcare, environment, and charity. The picture is already been shown into last 2 screen. Okay, this is a charity base. The program, education. Also for Ramadan, they do iftar together, and then also community empowerment. and also they do help the relief, disaster relief program. They also got award from many recognized institutions. They managed to collect to donate that much, 110 billion rupiah. That's quite a lot of money yearly. So this is what happened with the political economic mass relation. That was the aim of the service, a means of connecting the PKS cadre and the grassroots with the party, and recruit. This is the relation cadre and grassroots related to the party. This is the function of the welfare provision for the party and for the service recipient. Okay. This is two biggest Islamic organizations that's feeling threatened by the existence of PKS and with all its social service, because both organizations also do deliver the same service. See, they are threatened because they see PKS not like ideologically different from them, and for Muhammadiyah, the other organization, they also have a concern because most are school or is used by PKS member. This is the conclusion. So theologically, religious is not enough. Sharia is not enough, but should we build a communication relation with the society, and community building strategy designed to attract the service recipient into the reach of the party. The policy of welfare service is meant to overcome the limited capital for survival as success in political arena of newly emerging democratic system. The cadre have forged to build solid party mass relation and to reinforce the character and religious image among the pious Muslim community, and also the strategy of building party mass connection, and also gives similar with the PKS, which also gives similar social, economic, and cultural services. And in years to come, this institutional competition will give nuance to the mobilization of PKS in Indonesia. Okay, thank you.
We thanks to Dr. Yasin for his really delightful and give you more information about the PKs of Indonesia. Okay, thanks a lot. Is there any question? We can get the one question.
I just like to add, PKS seem to be like Justice Party in Turkey.
Yeah.
And I think the establishment of PKS in Indonesia is inspired by Justice Party here. So PKS is seem to be more Islamic party. And also what is interesting is almost all the elite, the leaders of the PKS, do polygamy. Have two wives. That's interesting also, because this was not done by other political party.
Okay,
Sorry.
let me make this comment. This PKS is established 1998.
Yeah.
Okay, the Justice Party is established 2002. But the root of the Justice Party go to 1960s, 1970s. There is the Welfare Party. Maybe you know the Dr. Erbakan. And the first mandate, in 1994, this Welfare Party, they won the election, the mayor election in Istanbul and Ankara. And this is a huge success. I mean, you get the mayor in Istanbul and Ankara. But the won the election is only the first step. In second step, you have to serve really good. So after the 1994, still this Welfare Party and right now Justice Party, they keep the mayor of the Istanbul and Ankara. More than 20 years. So in PKS case, I mean, there's a fluctuation, I guess. But if you look at the Welfare and Justice Party, there is no fluctuation. Every time their vote is increased. there is some, the military coup in 1980, this kind of things, but the vote is increased because they serve really good. I mean, they say that like the government for serve the people. I mean, we are not the boss, you are the boss. So I don't know what's the exact program in Indonesia, but okay, like if you are the leader of the party or the top of the party, okay, you have some religion ideology. You have. But when it's come to go to for like the people to vote, I mean, you have to talk a different kind of things because their program is different. Education, healthcare, traffic program, whatever. We have to talk like this. Okay. The last paper is presented by Dr. Armando Aliu. Right? Okay. And his paper, name of his paper is Tolerance, Migration, and the Hybrid Identities, Normative Reasoning of the Intercultural Dialogue in a Plurine Structure.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, please let me congratulate the organizing committee of the Congress and the participants for creating an excellent scientific atmosphere and a very productive platform. Undoubtedly, this atmosphere is a great source of inspiration for all of us. It's a great honor to be here. That's a privilege for me to give you a speech in the Second International Congress on Political, Economic and Social Studies. At the beginning, I should like to introduce myself. I'm Armando Aliu. Currently, I'm a PhD Law Fellow at Istanbul Commerce University. In past, I had affiliations at Heidelberg University and Hamburg University in Germany. Likewise, I was the visiting scholar at Max Planck Institute for Comparative Public Law and International Law in Heidelberg. The presentation that I have prepared for you is entitled Tolerance, Migration, Hybrid Identities, Normative Reasoning of Intercultural Dialogue in a Blurring Structure. I have designed the contents in 6 sections in a systematic and effective manner. The first section deals with Eastern tolerance versus Western tolerance. The tolerance notion and the meaning of toleration first has arisen in the 6th century in Eastern civilizations and in the 15th century in the Western civilizations. The very basic distinction amongst the Eastern tolerance and the Western tolerance is that the Eastern tolerance had emerged in proto-historical theological thoughts, beliefs, and philosophies. Western tolerance was transformed in the Renaissance age and Protestant Reformation in modern form. An interesting point is that the Western tolerance emerged as an instrument of state which are more interested in using it for stabilizing conflicts, enhancing authority, boosting legitimacy power, extending the content of soft law, and ensuring harmony in civil society. In other words, the Western tolerance is seen as a legal tool that enables harmonization mechanism over people. Emeritus Professor Jürgen Habermas quotes that tolerance emerged as a consequence of division of the religious sects in Europe during 16th century, and religious tolerance was transformed as a legal notion between 16th and 17th centuries. Moreover, political virtues strengthen the legal dimension of tolerance. That will be absolutely precise if we consider Eastern tolerance as positive tolerance. This is how we call the positive tolerance as Eastern civilizations in terms of transcendental hermeneutic sense. In contrast, Western tolerance can be perceived as postmodern pragmatic tolerance. That's a critique, actually. In terms of limits of a classical liberal foundation, is a system theory, transcendental pragmatic sense, deontological ethics, and obstacles of ideologies, nationalism, and presuppositions. This study does not deal with an in-depth comparison of two various approaches. Rather, this study particularly concentrates on the normative aspects of the confines, constraints, obstacles and limits of tolerance and toleration within the EU in a bit critical and harsh critical manner. The criticisms will be restricted to the European perception of tolerance and toleration. In classical style of post-colonial past, many people immigrated to wealthy nations of Europe for attaining better life conditions because the image of Europe was perceived as a source of enlightenment, modernity, secularity, between development and equal rights. Thus, states which could not reach democratic standards and create workplaces for unemployed people experienced mass migration flows. These flows form ethnic enclaves and cultural ghettos. This point is very important. The genesis of hybrid identities that emerged, particularly that symbolizes people who complete integration and assimilation and adjustment process, emerged particularly in ethnic enclaves and these cultural ghettos. Progressively, hybrid identities were encouraged to have a dual or multi-characters, and this situation established a constant system of circulation amongst home states and host states. Home states are migrant and refugee sending countries, and host states can be called migrants and refugees receiving countries. The rise of new threats such as terrorism, xenophobia, racism, violence, cultural hybridity via assimilation, which is a pushing factor, and aggressive nationalism and ethno-culturalism created pressures on hybrid identities because all of these implied a pushing effect from both sides, that are home states and host states. There are three general research inquiries. The first one is what ought to be the limits of tolerance towards hybrid identities in multicultural and cosmopolitan societies. The second one is what are possible criteria for limits of tolerance. And the third question is to what extent tolerance is related to human rights and morality. And the second section deals with human rights and tolerance. Tolerance takes root in the same soil as human rights. And this root is at the same time shared by liberty and truth. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, defined tolerance as such. Tolerance means respect, acceptance and appreciation of the rich diversity of the world's cultures, forms of expression and ways of being human. This term is fostered by knowledge, openness, communication and freedom of thought, concise belief. It's also harmony in difference. In the context of human rights, equal rights need to be mentioned first and foremost. They are the basis of a tolerant legal system. Equal constitutional rights of expression of opinions, religious faith, organization and non-discrimination are the core of any acceptable democratic constitution. These equal rights command the respect of the other individuals having the same rights and hence are the core of any rational concept of tolerance. A tolerant society is built upon the principle of non-domination, of equal rights of people, including the rights of hybrid identities. I will continue with the third section, which deals with obstacles and limits of tolerance and the nexus between tolerance and morality. Tolerance finds ways to protect the rights and dignity of every individual within nations and societies. In this way, when we consider tolerance within nations and societies, one question comes to mind. Is tolerance to be considered as a singular form or as a plural form? On the one hand, if tolerance is considered as a singular form, we can call person or people intolerable, such as racist, religious, anti-Semitist, or anti-Islamist, and so on. On the other hand, if tolerance is considered as a plural form, we can call nations or societies as the same way. We can think tolerance from a viewpoint of two various perspectives, that's to say, subject and object. The subject of tolerance is about personal attitude, whereas the object of tolerance is about a demand concerning the arrangement and administration of public affairs. It can be asserted that the subject of tolerance is a singular form and the object of tolerance is a plural form. The object of limits of tolerance concerns tolerance merely as a principle of public affairs. but not as a personal attitude. Tolerance as a personal attitude has no limits because its object is not the radically different views, norms, or practices of other individuals. Consequently, it's an attitude taken independently from the epistemological and axiological quality of those views and norms, and because there is no limit to respecting others' rights that have to be carefully distinguished from others' interests. In this regard, the limits of toleration are to be drawn where intolerance begins. For instance, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe considered tolerance as a dilemma. He saw a paradox of constraints in each tolerance act that's a delineation of a cluster which covers both tolerance and intolerance in itself. He stated that there cannot be an inclusion without any exclusion. Goethe's tolerance dilemma was transformed by a constitutional and legal order that confines tolerance within a legal base. Tolerance is a virtue of democratic citizens, and so drawing and defending the limits of toleration is a specific task of the members of civil society. In this respect, we may acknowledge the fact that the tolerance-intolerance dialectic and the limits of tolerance and toleration and all discussions associated with these issues can be linked up with normativity in legal base of states. The great transformation of Western legal tolerance puts normativity power and legal regulations that states use their judicial power to control and regulate the tensions of intolerance and intolerance. The law is always seen in a way universal and non-legally binding soft law regulations merely cannot guarantee equitability and just in democratic societies. We need to acknowledge this fact. Equitable and anti-discrimination are basis elements for the member states of the European Union. For instance, the basic elements and European values were clarified in the consolidated version of the Treaty of European Union and the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union, which is called, briefly, Lisbon Treaty. I would like to continue with the fourth section, which is world system and world society paradigms. There are two paradigmatic schools which are covered by the globalization debate, namely are world system theories and world society theories. The world system theories were developed to counter the theorization of social spaces as national or macro-regional geographic containers, opposing the theories of world civilizations in which perception of the world is a collection of distinct and divided civilizations. The world system theories emphasize the far-reaching economic interchanges and political subordination that exists between cultural regions and civilizations. You can see key figures of the theories of world system, who are Ferdinand Braudel, Max Weber, Karl Polanyi, Ralph Dahrendorf, and Immanuel Wallerstein. In the world society approach, the social space of society is explicitly separated from the geographic space. The civil society remains at the core point of the dialectics of globalization and localization. The mixture of various levels ensures a blurring structure in which geographic spaces, that's to say the micro-regional, the national, the macro-regional, and the global geographical spaces correspond to different types of predominant social spaces. The transnational social spaces approach is an attempt to overcome the economic, functional, and macroscopic biases of the world system theories by giving central attention to social spaces, symbol systems, and artifacts as empirically detectable phenomena growing from below that are structured and reproduce social institutions in plural local social spaces. The comprehensive societal analysis of Luhmann are quite substantial for arguing identity inquiry. For further evaluation of identity formation within societies, multiculturalism and cosmopolitanism perspectives need more attention. I will continue with the other section, which is identity inquiry in frame of multiculturalism and cosmopolitanism. The pluralistic society has become now pluralist society or multicultural society. Thus, tolerance ought to be promoted for facing the conflicts of cultures, and especially those within multicultural societies. According to Bauman, multiculturalism is a riddle or a paradox. It asks how we can establish a state of justice and equality between and amongst three parties: those who believe in a unified national culture, those who trace their culture to their ethnic identity, and those who view their religion as culture. To solve the riddle, the paradox, one needs to rethink what is meant by nationality or the nation state, by ethnic identity or ethnicity, and by religion as a basis of culture. The transnational challenges to multiculturalism suggest a real recognition of diversity. Some scholars may call super diversity, we can call in Istanbul or London, New York, and many other places. These includes cultural differences and community belonging. In multiple or hybridized identities, many diversities of attachments and belongings are shaped outside of the containing limits of nation-state residence. Thus, hybridized identities sustain and mediate complex affiliations and multiple attachments. In this context, cosmopolitanism can be seen as a key term. Cosmopolitanism means recognition of otherness, both externally and internally, to any society. In a cosmopolitan ordering of society, differences are neither ranged in a hierarchy nor dissolved into universality, but are accepted as it is. I will come to my concluding remarks. Our investigation claims that there is a very strong linkage between tolerance, migration, and hybrid identities. The mixture of various levels ensures a blurring structure in which home and host countries of migrants and refugees have different legal sources for tolerance and toleration. The diversification of treatment of people according to legal sources puts the issue of citizenship and belonging in the forefront. The EU is experiencing a very interesting problem. The refugee crisis and increasing asylum seekers are rapidly boosting the problem of the accumulation of hybrid identities in ethnic enclaves and cultural ghettos all around the EU. The tolerance and toleration towards these people have become an issue of concern due to the increasing tensions and the lack of communication within societies. In the EU tolerance perspective, tolerance requires impartial law enforcement, judicial process, and impartial legislation at the EU supranational level. Likewise, in order to achieve a more tolerant society within the EU, member states should harmonize existing human rights conventions with ethical beliefs and moral conducts. Tolerance, mutual understanding, and the respect of the rights of individuals are quite crucial in order to provide harmony, coexistence, and peace, not only at the member state level, but also at the EU level as a whole. The pluralistic societies, multicultural societies, or cosmopolitan societies need now tolerance more than ever before. Further, in view of facing the conflicts of cultures, and especially those within multicultural societies, tolerance ought to be promoted and guaranteed, not merely on the basic normative principles of soft law regulations, but also on ethical beliefs, moral consciousness, and even Eastern tolerance wisdom and Eastern tolerance heritages. And here I specified some important factors, which is, the first one is understanding what others are really saying, what they act, the way they do, and how the basic issues of human life appear to them are quite important. Empathy is another important factor. Empathy demands a greater capacity for listening and observing rather than of speaking and judging. Yes, the last question may be who will take the first step. It's an unknown situation right now. In the EU tolerance perspective, tolerance requires, as I said, impartial law enforcement, judicial process, and impartial legislation at EU supranational level. And actually, our full paper criticizes this, and we actually give some advices about Eastern tolerance can be a source of inspiration for the Western tolerance, and Eastern tolerance, wisdom, and heritages. The Ottoman Empire, for instance, is very important and needs to be discussed in many platforms. Thank you very much for your kind attention. That's all.
Okay, we thank Dr. Armando Aliu for his presentation. I think in those days, tolerance and migration is very important subject because of the Syrian situation. Is there any question? Mr. William, time for question? Question? Okay, then we can start this certificate presentation. The photographer is coming. Okay, also you know this paper?
Yes.
Okay, also I can give it. Just 1 second, this photographer is coming. I really enjoyed this session, especially like the information about the Indonesia, and I recognized it like that. Indonesia has their own experience about this development of the Islamic politics. Malaysia has their own experience. Turkey and Pakistan and Egypt. But the problem is, I guess, we don't get communication with each other. We don't get the benefit or experience. In 2014, I was in Malaysia for 3 months. I mean, I learned a lot from the Malaysian people how the Islamic politics develop in Malaysia. I think we need to communicate each other more. Okay, let's start with Dr. Tulmidi.
Hocam biraz daha sol tarafa alabilir miyim? Tamamdır hocam, çok teşekkür ederim.
Thanks. Also, we can take the picture together later.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Yasin.
Hocam en içeride bir şey bu toplantısı var. İkiden sonra hocam işini alırım.
Bir kere daha çek. Let's check it. Okay, Dr. Armando Aliu.
Tamamdır hocam.
Let's one more together.
All together.
Beraber. Let's together.
Aynen hocam, getirin onları, çok sağ olun. Genel